Baliktad na ang mundo. Ang podcasters naman ang makikinig sa inyo. Tell us your thoughts in the survey for a chance to win a cash prize. Be honest, ha? Answer the survey at www.surveypilipinas.org at automatic pasok kayo sa raffle. Get a chance to win 5,000 pesos in cash. Make sure na kumpleto ang mga sagot nyo para qualified ang entry nyo. Excited na kami sa feedback nyo sa amin. We are listening. Just go to www.surveypilipinas.org at baka ikaw na ang next winner.
Hi guys, welcome to Soulful Feast. Bite-sized information to nourish your body, mind, and your spirit. I'm your host, Stephanie Zubiri, and everything on this podcast is meaningful to me. And it's all about choosing me. We are going to explore why choosing yourself, no matter how hard the decision, is going to be the best decision that you make. And we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to the people around us to be the very best version of ourselves. So, what does it mean to choose ourselves? I think us women, we tend to be self-sacrificial. We are taught that we have to sacrifice ourselves to show love. But I'm here today to show you that that is not the case. That by choosing ourselves, by being quote unquote selfish, is actually the best thing that you can do for your loved ones. You know, Carl Jung, a very famous psychologist, once said that there's no greater burden on a child than the unlived life of a parent. Isn't that crazy? Those words were one of the things that really resonated with me when I had to make some big decisions in my life. And I'm announcing here today very publicly that yes, I am Stephanie Zubiri. I have been married twice. Yes, not once, but twice. And I've also been separated, divorced, annulled from my ex-husbands twice. The first time I was very young and very unhappy. And the second time was a much harder decision because I actually had children. But you know what, guys? It's the best decision I've ever made. My children are flourishing, and so am I. And today, to share with you her journey, and I'm sure we'll have lots to relate with, I have a really dear friend of mine, a mom of three, a content creator, and an entrepreneur, Mikaela Lagdameo. Hi, Steph, and hi, everyone. Wow, this is major. Because, it's something that, it's not really widely accepted here, especially in the Philippines. It's so controversial. And it makes me think, why? Like, it is such a real issue that so many women and so many couples are like struggling with. And I think it should be talked about because it's one of the toughest. It is. And you know what, guys? For the first time, I'm going to stand here with you and we're going to talk about it with no shame. Yeah. Because I think for the very longest time, I had so much shame in sharing my story. And it was kind of like hush hush, and only my friends knew about it. But there's so much to be learned from this. And from our journeys, we know that there's lots of other women or men going through the same things, right? Let's just get right into the heart of this. Okay. You left your husband just recently. Yeah, it's been a year. And it's like, what? It's been a year already. Yeah. And a lot has changed. First things first, when you're in that situation, for me, I think leaving is the hardest thing to do. Because we have been together for 20 years. 20 years. So it's like half my life, almost. And we've been married for 17. Yeah. So it is like a big change for me. And when you're in that situation, it's like, is this for real? Is this happening to me? Like you see it happen around you, but it's like, am I in a dream? Am I in a nightmare? Like, yes. Why has it come to this when I thought I would be married forever? I would be married till I'm a lola. Isn't that the hardest? I mean, for me, it was like, I said forever. I said it twice. Oh my God. Oh my God. Do I even believe it forever anymore? You want to keep that promise because you made a vow. But somewhere, along that journey, it's like, wait, things change. Things aren't right. People change. And I think that's one of the major issues because it takes two. A marriage is always two people. And we change. I mean, I was 17 years old when I got married.
So it's like looking at myself then, I'm so different.
Yes.
You know, even your I don't know, your beliefs, I mean your even the way that you see yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not the timid girl anymore. I will stand up to, this is not right. And I will voice it out. Before I just be like, okay, I'll just suck it in. I'll take it in. I think women take in so much.
They do.
That sometimes, wait a minute, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I think culturally for us too, that's how we're raised, especially in the Philippines, right? That it's our duty, it's our
To be the perfect wife.
to be the perfect wife, the perfect mom, the
Yeah.
perfect everything, and it's a lot of pressure, and you don't even know who you are anymore. And speaking of, like, my first marriage aside, I was really young, like you, and it was very fast. I actually didn't know the man very, very well. And so just moving on, I would say, to my real marriage, which was my ex-husband, who's the father of my two children. It just came to the point where I looked in the mirror and, who is this person? I have no idea, right? I didn't dress the same. I didn't look the same. I didn't have the same values. I hated myself. And I couldn't really blame him because, and I think for a lot of my therapy after, because this is really where I got deep into therapy, deep into wellness, and into digging into my psyche. What do I have patterns? What am I doing like wrong? Am I gonna forever keep doing this? I want to fix myself before I move forward. And one of the things I realized, what I was so angry about, and it wasn't anger at my ex. I was directing the anger at my ex, but I was really angry at myself for giving up my power and for giving myself up. And it's so hard.
Yeah.
It's
And
so
especially
hard.
because when you are ready to walk out of the marriage, it's like you're ready to jump off a cliff. That's how it feels. It's like, okay, here it goes. And because even to make that decision, it's like, wow, you gotta think of so many things. You're thinking about what your families will say, what your kids, how it will affect your kids.
How will it affect
How
your
about
kids?
this, like the people around? It's like, why do I have to explain myself when, these are the thoughts that came into my head. It's like, but wait, why do I need to explain myself when it's my life? I'm the only one sleeping and waking up next to the same person every day. I'm the one dealing with our problems privately.
And no one else knows but you guys.
Yes.
No one
See?
else knows the extent. And I think there's also, at least for me,
Yeah.
I would really hide what was going on,
Yeah.
because you're hoping to fix it, right?
Always.
And I think from what I gathered with speaking to lawyers and psychiatrists and all of that, is like, women take a really long time to get to that decision. But when they do, it's
fine.
done. It's
Yeah.
final, right? Like,
Yeah.
it really takes a long time, but when you get there, you're there. There's no walking back. So let's dig deeper into your turning point. What was the turning point for you?
So, like you, it's like, I can't live like this anymore. It's like, wasn't sleeping. I felt so unhappy. I felt so alone. And I'm like, wait, I have my life to live. Why does it have to be that way? And I couldn't handle it anymore. And I get asked a lot from even people on Instagram, and um, they asked me like, when do you know when it's time to leave? And it's so hard to answer that question because there's so many factors. But all I can say is only you will know. Because the fact that you're asking already means you still have so many questions. You got to sort that out in your head. And it has to be your decision. No one can answer that question for you. You have to know deep inside your heart, okay, I'm ready to do this. Because it is a commitment also.
Yeah.
To really stand up and say, okay, I'm ready to leave. Because this is no joke. This is life changing.
It is. And not
it-
just for you,
Yeah,
for
for your
everybody
kids
else.
especially,
Yeah,
you
it
know?
affects so many people,
So
right?
many people. And what
Go ahead.
was the
Yeah, no. So, what
So-
was the turning point?
yeah. So the turning point was like, I have had enough. I need space. I need a break. And I need to do what's right for me. It's like I had to shut out everyone's opinion, literally. And usually me, I am the type of person who will always consider others first. What's convenient for them? What's convenient for my husband, what's convenient for the kids. And I'm like, wait, I was living my life the whole time like this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, why? And I go, how about me this time? So that was my turning point. And I was, I felt like we were going around in circles and nothing was being resolved. It's like, it's just a cycle. And I was
Yeah.
like, enough of that. I wanted change. I wanted something new. I wanted to be happy. I wanted things to be healthy again. You know, like a woman will know when it's not right
It's
anymore.
not right,
You know,
yeah.
you have that strong intuition. And I think women really should focus on that because
Yeah.
usually we're always right.
We are. We gotta connect to our divine feminine energy because you know what? That intuition is correct. For me, I realized one day that I was doing it all alone. And, I will say this now with hindsight, with it's been 4 year, almost 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 years. That we've been separating, going through the process of annulment and stuff. We'll talk about that later. But in hindsight, I think I put a lot of blame on my ex. But really, with the sort of therapy work that I've been doing, I really just blame myself for letting things get out of hand and sort of just keep on taking on and taking on and taking on in my back. And then also kind of like allowing things to happen and not setting the boundaries sooner and sooner until you're just like tapped out. And then he's a different person and you're a different person. And then you just, for me, it was like, wait lang, like I'm doing everything. I'm the one providing. I'm the one going to school. I'm doing everything. But do you bring value to my life in any way, even if it's just emotional?
That's a good question to ask.
Right? It's
Yeah.
like I had to ask myself, like, what's your value here? Because you can still be a good father if you wish to be. We don't have to be married for that, right? But and I really felt that it was just time to be alone and that I just, obviously it's hard, right?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
you're with this person for so long and you want to keep the family together and but it's tough.
I know. Do you feel sometimes, or did you feel that you're sometimes an enabler? Like,
Of course.
it's like, wait, if I had just addressed this sooner,
Yeah.
then it wouldn't have created so much, like such a big problem. Like, but then again, we only learn this as we go along.
Yeah.
There's no, even if there are books to read about it, it's like, but when you're actually there,
Yeah.
it's so different.
It
It's so
is.
different when you're in that position of like a bad or failing marriage rather than looking at it from an outside point of view. I never thought that it was this hard.
No, it's hard.
And no joke. It is hard.
But you know what? I really, really believe that, people go through transformations in their life. I'm sorry to say this, guys, but the notion of forever and ever is only with yourself. It really is. Because, you can try
Yeah.
and do your best. And I believe that you can have a lifelong healthy relationship, but it's not because you make a vow in church or in
that's
city
true.
hall or whatever. It's because you are both consistently working at being the best versions of
Every
yourself
day.
every day.
Every
So you
day
can be the
counts.
best version for each other.
Yes.
Right? It really matters. So was there anything major holding you back from your decision?
Of course, I mean, it really, like I said earlier, it really is the family. It's like, wait, am I really breaking this family apart? Because see, somehow the guilt really comes in. And even if you want to do things for yourself, you can't help it. You're a mother. You think about that. It's like, how will it affect my kids? But there you come to a point where it's like, wait, I have to make this decision because if not, it will have the negative effect
effects.
on them.
It's
if you
worse.
carry it on.
It's worse.
They want to see you happy. I'm sure every
Yes.
child wants to see their own parents happy. And I never thought that it would come, but now, like, it's been a year and they see how good we are. Things have turned around. we have become better individuals. And I really believe that if that didn't happen, we would be stuck in the same rut, probably fighting and really like getting toxic.
Yeah.
And to have that toxicity, in your household and your kids see and hear that,
That's
that
the worst.
actually,
It's worse, guys.
Exactly.
It's worse. I think it's worse. Like I have so many friends whose, parents are very old school and stayed together forever, but actually live separate lives with like mistresses and boyfriends and whatever.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh my God, guys, why don't you just get a divorce and live your own lives, right?
Yeah.
And, more than anything, children flourish in a space of joy. Children flourish in a home of love.
Yeah.
They don't flourish in just like because there's mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
You need to be in a home of love. I mean, it's like, children who are orphaned, they live with their grandparents or they live with a village of people who support them. It doesn't matter. Family is about love, is about joy, and that's where children really flourish. And that can be in two separate households.
Yeah.
That can be so, it can take so many shapes and forms. And, with modern families out there, guys, like my kids have friends who have two dads,
That's true.
right?
Or times are different
Or
now.
just one mom because she had a sperm donor and
That's
she's a
true.
totally single mom and they have no dad. And so, I think today people's concept of what family is, well, family is about love. And if you are in a toxic environment, then you're not harboring, creating a space of love for your kids. You
And your
need
kids
to have
won't
that
feel
space.
safe.
Yeah.
Of course, there are adjustments
Yeah.
and a lot of heartache also
Yeah.
during the transition. I think the transition is always a hard time, but you learn from it, and even your children's character, you'll see that they will grow. Honestly, they grow up so fast. But it also depends on how you walk with them during this journey, because they also discover a lot of things about themselves, and they learn to appreciate also each parent separately and individually. And I feel like with us, our relationship as parent and child also, both ways, my husband and kids, me and the kids, we really actually have improved because now it's like they're extra, extra special. It's really becomes more precious because also of the time sharing that we have, the co-parenting life.
Well, you're very lucky because I don't necessarily share that situation, right? So I think it's amazing that you and your ex have been able to have a really positive co-parenting situation so soon after.
I
too,
know.
right?
I thought it would never
yeah.
happen, but I think when you're both willing to put in the work, it really does amazing things. And this seemed impossible. Just
Yeah.
looking at my life last year, it was war. It was like literally we could not have a decent conversation. It was just and nothing. I thought, wow, good luck to my life and my future. But magically and through prayer and a miracle, we're able to find the balance of co-parenting, which is, I feel it's like level 3 now. So I was like level 1 hard, then level 2, and then level 3. It's like, wait, it's like forever transitioning and evolving. But right now, this is what works for us. And like leaving, I had to shut out all opinions. I'm like, okay, because family, friends, they also get involved somehow because, of course, people get
They have their
mad.
opinions.
Yeah,
They have their
and they want to protect you and all
or
of
the
that.
kids or whatever.
Yeah, but in the end,
it's only
is-
about the two of you.
Yeah,
really.
exactly.
And quite literally only about you making those decisions for you first.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, unfortunately, my situation's not quite the same. Like, we're in a detente. Let's put it that way. I wish we could be in a friendlier space and a more communicative space, but that's okay. I respect that he's not yet there in that journey, but I also respect that he respects our civility and our space. But I think the number one rule is even when things were kind of explosive with us in the beginning and difficult, we both committed to not cascading negative thoughts and energy to the
To
kids.
the kids,
And
always.
that's number one. Because
That's the
one
number-
time, like the kids came back home and he had said some bad stuff, and I called him up and I was like, They're not our therapists. That's not their job to listen to our issues. You want to say those things, say it to my face. Don't say it to them. They don't need to hear it.
Yeah.
Right. And then since then, he respected it. And it's really served us well. And no matter how, like, if he does something that like kind of annoys me or whatever, I never say it to the kids.
Yeah.
Because they have their own relationship with him, right? So I think because of that, my children are, really flourishing. My boys are so happy, and they are really in a home full of love, and they have so much support, and people in their lives have stepped up also as like close male role models in their life and taken on like other sort of that dad role as well. And so I'm very grateful for, all those people who are around me who, and you'll be surprised, right?
Yeah.
Like all the people who come in and support the family and the love. So it's very important that you stick by your decision, because when you're happy, then that's only when you can radiate love and joy to everybody else, right? So let's talk about something a little bit more difficult, right? So what was the lowest point for you? Like rock bottom. And like how did you feel? And what got you out of it,
Yeah, wow. Rock bottom. Wow. I remember those days so well because it's like it was the time when no one knew, and you battle with the thoughts, with everything by yourself, because you feel like no one will believe you. I felt that. I felt that because everyone saw us as a happy couple, as perfect,
Picture
ever.
perfect,
Yeah,
right?
because through the years that was really what we were, but somehow things changed, and I just felt so alone, and I would cry the whole day, at night, no sleep. And it was just like a silent battle that I know so many are actually going through. And what I did was like I really turned to my pastors and therapy, because I felt like I needed to get myself in check, because I'm like, wait, I can't do this alone. And I really like my prayers also changed. It was more like I needed help. Like I felt like I was in a black hole, and I was like, I can't anymore. And I had to surrender everything to God, because I needed a strength that I couldn't explain. I was like, okay, I give up. And it's at that point where like, I give up. And when you're there, it's like there's nowhere else but up, you know? And I really think it's the people around. It's my girlfriends. Oh my gosh, you were there for me. And it's really that cry of help, because you cannot live this life alone. And really the people around you really are lifesavers. Honestly.
It's funny, right? Because it's so hard to ask for help.
It is.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
My lowest point was really like, I remember standing in front of the ocean on a family holiday, and the waves were so, so big. We had gone to Bali, and waves were so, so big. And for the first time in my life, I kind of stared at it and was like, sige, okay lang if I drown.
Okay.
Like, parang like, I actually get teary thinking about it, but it was like, I feel like I've caused so much pain and hurt and destruction that maybe it's better if I'm not on this planet. Right? Like, and just,
there really are dark spots sometimes, huh?
yes, like stood there and I felt the waves like of the ocean like crashing over me. And it was like, maybe everyone would just be happier if I was gone, because my decisions had like just caused so much pain and so much hurt that like just be better, and you know it was really funny because I didn't know he was there, and my dad while I was walking the beach and like saw me and was like, hey, what are you doing? Parang guardian angel, like, and kind of snapped me out of it.
Yeah.
And then I saw my kids kind of like running in the beach, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get through this. And I gotta trust that this was the right decision because I need to be there for them. You know, I need to be there for them, and not just be there, be the best me for them. And it's not this. It's not, because I think also, like, I mean, I don't know about you, but when I was really going through a tough time in my marriage, I turned to a lot of drinking, a lot of partying and going out, and like, and also it was easier because my kids were still younger. So parang like, okay, they go to bed at 7 p.m., go out and party. And so what looked like a very joyful life, because I was
Was
going
just a
out and
mask.
celebrating, it was all a mask. That's when no one could understand what I was going through internally, because they thought like everything I was fine. You know, like, what? You're like dancing, partying there, but it's really like an escape, which is also why like now I'm like exploring like moderate sobriety, because just I want to be happy without needing anything. Right. And it just, you just want to be happy just doing nothing, and that you can love yourself, right? And it just got to that space where I wasn't there. And you're absolutely right. That's when I started therapy. Right after that incident, I'm like, I need to find out what is wrong with me. And if I ever get into a relationship in the future, I don't want to have the same patterns. I don't want to have the same issues. I still do believe in forever and forever, but that's not going to happen until I fix the most important relationship, which is with myself.
And that's also one question I kept asking myself, because I was made to believe that there was something wrong with me. I always felt that everything was my fault. And it's like, why is it my fault? And I really, really believed that. And when I got into therapy, I realized, wait, maybe it's not just me. Maybe because I really wanted to check what it was so I could fix it. You know, we always want to make sure that things are fixed. And when I got into therapy, I realized, wait a minute, like I'm discovering things that weren't healthy. There were unhealthy patterns that, you know, were happening in my life, and words that we were being fed to me that, oh, it's not true. That's not me. Because I would always question. Yeah. And I needed to keep myself in check. And I think when you have that mindset, you always want to be the best version. You always want to be a better person. I think that's a good sign, because you are willing to change yourself, you know, and continually evolve to be better. Yes.
And you know what? Contrary to the name therapy, therapy is not therapeutic.
I get so drained after therapy, because this is where everything is brought up. All the things that you were trying to hide,
All your issues.
that you're trying to put down,
suppressed memories.
hide them. It's like, why? Like it comes out, and it really is freeing, because when you know, like it's hard, but in the end, it's like I needed that. I need to face all the issues and trauma and problems, because that's the only way to get over that.
Only way to release it.
Yeah.
Because you can't release something that you don't know is there.
Exactly.
It's just this really ugly monster inside of you that's like, you know, you gotta look at your shadow.
Yeah.
And
As
your inner
it
work.
is.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
no
awful.
sugarcoating.
It's awful. It's like, oh my gosh, all this trauma. And then when you see it and you can process it and let it go. And then sometimes you'll get triggered, and then you can recognize the trigger and be like,
that is so important.
I'm not like that anymore. It's okay.
Yeah.
Right?
And before, I used to always be like, let's say when you, of course, this happens when you're, you know, when you're breaking up, right? You have exchange of text messages, and it becomes really hurtful words, and you say the worst things. But now it's like, you know how to pause and be like, okay, this is not going anywhere. I am gonna be like, okay, let's talk later. Like when you're more calm, let's get back to it. Like, you know, before, because it's like, you just want to say what you want, but now there's more self-control. And you, you know, in exchange become a better person, and it changes
Everything
about you. Everything, the way you see, like the way you respond to situations. Before, I would panic. Like, oh, I don't know what to do. But now it's like, no, this is happening for a reason. Now, how can I move forward and fix this in a more peaceful and calm way without causing any tension? So you be the change, you know? You're not waiting on someone to make the change. You be the change, because in the end, it's how you face it. It's your decision. It's your life. And in the end, it will follow. The people around you will respond to you differently as well.
So I really 100% believe this. I don't know if you guys out there have heard of Viktor Frankl. He's the father of logotherapy. And, he was sent to a concentration camp and he's a Holocaust survivor. And he actually came up with this study that was post World War II, post Holocaust, and he studied all the Holocaust survivors and said that there were only two types of survivors: those who were so sad and disappointed and just felt like there was nothing to live for, and those who said, I'm going to live my life to the fullest. And he realized that there was only one true human freedom, and that is our freedom to choose how we react to any situation.
Yeah.
Because nothing is in our control.
Yeah.
Except our own reactions, our own emotions, and our actions, right? So, and that really was empowering for me. I read so much. And to think that, yes, you can be faced with the same stressful, sad situation, but react to it differently. And that's really empowering,
Yeah.
Okay, some of the things right now we can't change.
Yeah.
Which is the process of leaving a marriage is very difficult, right? How has that been for you? Like, I mean, there's really only a few recourses in this country. There's legal separation and there's annulment. Guys, I'm gonna make it clear. This has nothing to do with your religious beliefs. This is not about a religious marriage.
Yeah.
Everyone has the right to choose the path that they want. This is solely marriage as a civil institution. So here in the Philippines, there's no divorce.
I know.
It's very difficult, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I heard earlier that we are practically the only country that does not have it.
It is the only country.
is.
Yeah. I think Malta just instated it, and we are quite literally the only country left except the Vatican City.
I know, and actually, I got shocked to find out that, like, we hear about it all the time: annulment, divorce, and, people are stuck with it for 10 years, whatever. But I realized because it's so difficult, one has to prove that one is crazy. But what if that is not the only reason why? There can be so many other issues like abuse, being physically abused, being emotionally and verbally abused.
And there's marital rape, guys.
Yes,
I mean, I'm
exactly.
going to say it out there. There are women
I
there.
did not even know that.
Yeah,
recently.
well, you get raped by your husband.
Exactly.
Yes, it happens, and it's sad. And there are, and I'm not just saying women. Maybe there are also men who are in really difficult situations too. The thing is, look, the average annulment costs minimum 250,000 to do, and let's face it, most Filipinos do not have that kind of money. And I think more than anything, a woman with no real financial means has no way to start a new life.
Yes, and then with kids,
there's no way because you can't even get a bank loan without your spouse's signature.
Yeah.
You can't buy property without your spouse's signature. You cannot do anything, not even buy a car, nothing without your spouse's signature. I mean, it goes both ways. So anyone who wants to move on from their life, and I know lots of people who live separately and live separate lives, but they cannot fully move on because how can you build a life if you keep needing their signature?
Never in this age, just kidding.
No, but it's hopefully, I know there's been some advancement in legislation, but hopefully it's something that, people will consider. 53% of Filipinos do want it. But I mean, it's something to talk about, right? It's hard. It's hard for a lot of women. And, I think being in an abusive relationship is far worse than divorce, right?
Yeah.
So what can you say to women who are going through something similar?
Well, you know what? The first step really is to take a pause and look within. You have to shut out everyone's voices, everyone's opinions, because there's so many people telling you what to do. Na alam mo, like typical Filipino family, do this, do that, do that. But you have to take a break from all of that and look, what do I want? What do I need right here? Because if you don't have that solid voice and, belief and confidence in yourself, it's like you can't make the first step, and you need that. And you need to really be in tune to your prayer and your faith, because these are the things that really push you and allow you to move forward. And I really feel that I had like God's like hand was over me, because I felt a peace that I couldn't explain. I'm like, I'm going through a hard time, but I felt at the same time I also felt the peace in my life, like, hey, I'm moving in the right direction. It was always timing. It was always like, as soon as I moved out, it's like I could sleep well at night. And even that, like moving out, that's another hard decision I had to make. And I decided to move out 3 days before I did. I said, I need to look for like a condo. And I got, as soon as I viewed it, I said, okay, I'm getting it. And I just packed everything and moved in like 2 days. And I don't even know how I did it. I'm like, how did I do that? I just did it because I was just desperate to get sleep, to just have peace and like be like, that was the first time I had good sleep in a while. And I just stood my ground. And I think really women have to stand their ground and be like confident, because when you're wavering and like iffy and you can't, you're still in that decision, people won't also take you seriously. You have to be like, I'm serious about this. I decided and I'm gonna do it. And you do it.
Yeah.
And really it has to be that strong will inside of you. If you're scared, you won't be able to make the next steps.
You know, it's so true about people always whispering in your ear. And, you'll be surprised. Even people who are not close to you. I was at a work event, and a lady that I work with quite often, who's older, I call her Tita, pulled me aside in the middle of a work event and was like, Stephanie, what are you doing with your life? Didn't you already leave another husband? And you have like leaving another husband again? Don't you have like negative patterns?
Judgment.
Excuse me, woman. Like, okay, I have a lot of respect for you, but at the end of the day, this is my life. You don't know what's going on. And taking pause. And so the best thing that actually happened to me, and like I wouldn't say best thing, but the silver lining of the pandemic was I found myself totally isolated. And I was alone with my children, and I had a lot of time to think and to work on myself.
Yeah.
And you're right, it is the best thing. And what my greatest realization is, love yourself.
Yeah.
Because you know what? You will only have the kind of relationship that you feel you deserve.
Mhm.
Right?
That's true.
Your relationships with people, whether that's friendship or family or your partner or even your children, will reflect on your own self-love and self-value,
I agree.
right? So if you value yourself and you love yourself, then you will demand from the people around you what kind of relationship, respect, and love that you feel you deserve.
That's true.
And so take stock of that. And if, one of the questions I had to ask myself, if I had a daughter or if my child was going through the same thing, what advice would I give them?
Good one. Good
Right?
one.
What
Yeah.
advice would I give them?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a daughter, and I wanted to show that it was not okay. When you're going through this, you have to know when to stand up for yourself and say enough and have that boundary. And I'm so proud to see her now already creating her own boundaries. And she's 19, and I'm just, she can identify already patterns and stuff like that. And even with friends and people around her, with men, because she is in that age already to date, and she's like, red flag.
Yeah.
And as early as now, she can see that. I wish I saw that, earlier on and had my own boundaries. I realized before, even in the 20-year marriage, I had no boundaries. It was just there. Everything was there. And now I'm just like, wait, that's not okay. Like, you have the power to say, no, this is not okay, and stand by it.
Exactly. Okay, so I think one last thing, I want to wrap up every episode with something tangible that, people can do right now. So, what is one thing that you could share to people that they can change or do right now so that they can choose themselves?
I think it would be to change the way you perceive things. It's not always like this. There's another way to look at situations. And I put myself in other people's shoes. I think that's always one thing I do in my life, even with raising my kids. Like, if I were in their shoes, how would I want to respond? Like, it's not always because when you look at it from another person's perspective, you also change the way you react to certain situations and also how you react because you want people to treat you that way, then you treat people that way. There's always like two sides, and I think also be compassionate for people around you. Like, people are going through their own struggles. You can't always judge and say, no, do this. Like, I'm going through this, but a person or a friend who is going through the same thing, I can't say I know it all.
No.
Because there are different situations. There are so many things to consider. It's not like, oh, you can leave because he did this. There's just so many things, and you have to have compassion. You have to understand. You can't say, oh, this is the way to do it because I got it all figured out. No, that's why when people ask me, when is it time to leave? Should I do this? No, I can't answer that because only you will know, and you will have the power to decide when it's time or if it's time, or so you really can't judge and belittle also people's experiences just because you went through it. People have their own journey, their own decisions, their own emotions, and I think people should be kinder to those around and just stop judging.
Yeah, a little bit of kindness goes a long, long way, right? And you know what? I'm going to wrap this up by saying it starts with yourself.
Yeah.
Kindness, compassion, forgiveness for yourself. And my advice is if there is one thing that you can do today to take that step, look in the mirror and ask yourself, do I like who I see? And do I like where I am? And if the answer is no, then take some time to think about it. And that's it. And give yourself a big hug because we all slip up in our path. We are humans, it's evolutionary. We have our ups and downs. So we just have to start with loving ourselves and forgiving ourselves.
I just wanted to share one thing. I think for me, this is something that is really so applicable. Um, I think this one actually is even better than what I said earlier. But for me, one thing really is you accept the pain, you accept the hardship, happy, sad moments, accept it. Don't struggle. Because when life throws all these hard stuff at you, okay, I'll take it. Now, what can I do? Because when you're constantly struggling, it's like you'll never get out of it. But when you accept it as it is, okay, this hurts, this is painful, this is hard, but I will get through this day and I will move on to the next day. And you take the steps slowly. Don't even look too far. Before, I was just looking at surviving the day. Like, I couldn't even look at what tomorrow was. I just had to make it through the day. And I'm sure a lot of people are going through that. Like, can I even make it another day? Like, it's so hard. And life is hard. And, these problems are hard. Everyone is going through some kind of hard. So really take take a breath and accept everything as it is. Everything. Don't sugarcoat. Accept the reality. And then you slowly make the steps to move forward another day.
Thank you so much, Mix. That was really wonderful. And I kind of want to sum it up with something I learned from a Buddhist monk in Bhutan. His name is Rinpoche, Kendrukchen Rinpoche. And I spoke a lot to him over the pandemic. And one of the things that he taught me was really about embracing impermanence, because the only thing constant in this world is change, and everything is impermanent. So whether that's happiness or hardship, joy or pain, it's all impermanent. But with impermanence, that means there's hope because the hard stuff will also go away. So you just have to hang in there and treat yourself with a lot of compassion and love and everybody else. All right. So if you want to invite anybody, where to follow you and anything that you're promoting right now.
Okay. So I just have Instagram, which is like my main platform. It's at Mikaela Martinez. And I do actually have a jewelry line that I just launched with Atelier 818 Jewelry. The store is located at SM Aura. And I launched a line that is called Chapters because it represents so much of this new chapter of mine. So I have, personalized bracelets, personalized charms and necklaces and fun stuff. So you can also check it out on Instagram. And then I'm also coming up with a community of women that I want to really, like have like a private and groups and workshops. And I am calling it My Safe Space PH. I just created the Instagram account, but I am going to be announcing how it will go on later on. I just want to get women together and have a space where they can speak their mind, share their pain, and it will be a community of women. So watch out for that.
Great. Thank you so much. We need more of that. Gentle, safe spaces for everyone. Well, thank you so much for giving us your time, for giving us a safe space to be us and to love ourselves. So maybe the one takeaway that we have today from our talk is how important it is to choose ourselves so that we can be the best for everybody else. And that was it for today. I'm Stephanie Zubiri, and this was Soulful Feast, bite-sized information to nourish your body, mind, and spirit.